Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, we say goodbye to our beloved Fraggle Rock as we discuss the series finale episode, Change of Address, along with the wrap party video, Fraggles Look for Jobs, the behind-the-scenes documentary, Down at Fraggle Rock, and a brief little ITV blooper thing from 1984.
We say goodbye to the corporeal version of the Fraggles. We still have 2D guys left to watch.
We have false Fraggles left to watch.
To make us not miss them. It's a kindness on their part.
Yeah. It's like, you have like a friend breakup or something and they do something truly batshit wild afterwards and you're like, oh, that was a good call. I'm glad they're not in my life anymore.
Now I don't have to explain to anyone why I'm friends with them.
So when someone is like, do you guys miss the Fraggles? It's like, oh, have you seen the animated series?
They betrayed us. We can never forgive them.
But then we're going to come back around to Muppet Family Christmas and be like, oh, those guys are back. I love them.
Yeah.
And then we won't see them again for 40 years. But yeah, I wanted to open up today's episode just still talking about Fraggle Rock, actually, because this is the series finale episode. We're saying goodbye. And so I wanted to just get your overall feelings on the series itself, Sam.
Yeah, I think I said before that in my enjoyment of Muppets, I always looked down upon the Fraggles to a certain degree. I think I had the thought that you said, I think maybe last time, that it was the baby show,
right?
Which is crazy when there's literally a Muppet baby show.
Yes.
And also, I was talking about Sesame Street, but there is Muppet Babies and a Muppet Show for babies, and neither of those are Fraggle Rock.
Well, and the only two of the four that we're talking about right now that deal with the actual death of characters from time to time is Sesame Street and Fraggle Rock.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're
Muppet
right.
Babies isn't like, hey, Skeeter, bad news.
Well, yeah, or Nanny. Nanny would be less tragic if she died than Skeeter, but I guess Skeeter has to die eventually.
But with the core Muppets, as far as I can remember, we don't really ever deal with the death of a character.
They're basically daring you to try to kill them more than anything.
Or they're like, oh, yeah, no, we were ghosts in that thing, but we were acting. So Statler and Waldorf aren't really dead.
Yeah. Or like Uncle Deadly is dead, but also he seems fine, I think.
Old Stance. I don't know if he's dead.
I think in his episode, he's like the ghost of a performer who used to perform in the Muppet Theater.
Muppet Show Uncle Deadly might be dead.
Yeah. But that's
2015
just a playing,
fashion design Uncle Deadly. I don't think he's dead.
He's dead and loving it. That's a way that you can be dead, as we've seen before.
Uncle Deadly and loving it.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
But no, I think you're like, I referenced, I think last time that I do believe a lot of people have this perception of Fraggle Rock as a baby show. In comparison to things like the Muppet Show. And there are times I think that makes sense. I think there are times when the lesson, just the fact that they're trying to teach you a lesson and have like a metaphor in the episode, can seem a little bit childish at times. Whereas the Muppet Show is just a variety show with fun celebrities.
I think as time goes on, we do realize that more people need to watch shows about emotional maturity and empathy and stuff like that.
The emotional awareness that Fraggle Rock offers would be great if it was more widespread.
Yeah. I think another part of it may be, and this is just a trap I fall into sometimes, where I'm the kind of person who, if I see too many people talking about something and being like, this is great, and then maybe it's even like some people are like, this is better than the thing that you think is great, then I'll be like, oh, I can't watch that now. It would be it would be not right for me to watch something that so many people like so much. And I think when I used to think about Fraggle Rock, I'd think, do you really like that, or are you trying to be cool because you like it better than you like the Muppets?
Right. A bit like I think I looked this way on like, people who like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth a lot.
Yeah.
Who I felt like there was like a slice of the pie of Muppet Jim Henson fans
Mm-hmm.
who were like his best work was Labyrinth and Dark Crystal. I feel like there's similarly a slice of the pie who's like his best work was Fraggle Rock. And I
Yeah.
think until you watch these things, it's very easy to feel that way of like, oh, you're just trying to be the counterculture cool guy because
Right.
everyone agrees the Muppets are the best part of Jim Henson's work. But
Yeah.
I don't know how much I agree with that these days.
I think especially when you think about what like what Jim set out to do with this show,
Mhm.
and like the kind of like hippy dippy stuff that he's tried to insert into the things that he's done to
Yeah.
various degrees of success. This show isn't cringy like some of the other stuff he makes, or like this show
Right.
isn't confusing like some of the other stuff he makes that has a similar message. Like it so feels like he made Dark Crystal and Labyrinth and then was like, or well, he made Dark Crystal and then was like, I gotta strip a couple layers back on this, and then came up with the Fraggles. But yeah, I think, to me, it's not the funniest thing that they've ever done, which holds a lot of water with me. So I still think like the Rolf stuff from Jimmy Dean is like they came out the gate doing exactly what they were trying to do.
Right. I mean, there's
And
even
then
some early Sam and Friends stuff that we watch,
mhm,
and it
yeah,
still feels like it's in the top 10% best Muppet
yeah.
things we've ever seen.
But this feels like an evolution, a very clear-eyed evolution of the idea of a TV puppet show in a way that we haven't seen since the 60s when he did it the first time. Like it's just good and different, and was very like the whole team was very successful in what they were trying to do in a way that I don't feel like I have to hedge like I do with like Muppet Show. That show's kind of confusing. There's a lot of
Mm.
that show that's pretty bad. There's a
Yeah.
lot of that show that's racist, and that's just not so with Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, there's a better hit rate with Fraggle Rock if you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
choose, like, you hit shuffle on episodes or something and just watch a random episode of Fraggle Rock.
Mm-hmm.
You've got, I think, statistically a better chance of watching a good episode
Yeah.
than of the Muppet Show, which there are still a lot of good episodes
Oh
of,
yeah, for
but
sure.
there's enough stinkers in there that I think someone could turn on a random Spike Milligan episode of the Muppet Show and be like, "This is the show you like?
Yeah,
This is super
that's true.
racist."
Yeah, right.
I think for me too, the other thing about Fraggle Rock, which I believe we talked about at some point in the past, is that we spend more time with these characters than we
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of our other Muppets in
Right.
ways where they're not, the butt of the joke. They're not just running around interacting with 50 other Muppets because we get a core 5 characters to really get to know. And even the Gorgs and some of the Doozers, I feel like we get more depth to these characters than we
Right.
do with a lot of the other Muppets who come in and out and have, catchphrases here and there.
Or like they're a totally different character the next
That
time you see
too.
them.
Yeah. There was some moments of seeing the first Gobo puppet during our watches this week
Yeah.
where I was like, oh boy, he looked rough.
He looked wild. What did they yeah, what were they doing?
There's even some moments, and I didn't look up to pinpoint when this was happening, but there was some moments where I noticed Boober had like longer, shaggier hair in some of
Huh.
the older clips.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't know if that was from first season and they trimmed it back in going forward, but I think it's again because they're in the same setting, doing the same things. The characters are pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Unless it's a big, drastic visual change like Gobo, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to notice those subtle character beats.
Right. Like yeah, and even looking back on the first season in that documentary, and the lighting was like, oh, that didn't look so good. They really honed that in. Yeah, it's just like being able to play in that world for so long added a lot of depth to it, which Muppet Show did too. Like by the end of Muppet Show, you get those cool episodes where you're like seeing more of the stage and like understanding the place that they're inhabiting a little bit better. But I'm gonna miss these little guys.
Yeah.
It was a sad set of stuff to watch. I would say that the rap video kind of was like that like left a sour taste in my mouth to a little bit of a degree, even though I know that wasn't for public consumption, but it
Right.
was just like, yeah. I don't want
Well,
to see them like this.
let's not talk about it too much until we're, talking about it here in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Because I got to ask you first, Sam, what did we watch this week?
First, we went back a few years to watch a blooper reel of a promo that Jim recorded for ITV in 1984. And ITV is a British television network. And the promo is for Fraggle Rock. So he's voicing a doozer. I think it's Flange Doozer, we decided. It's the one
I
with
think
the little
he's got the mustache, so
Yeah.
that seems likely.
And Jim's kind of like working with the person who's remote controlling the doozer's vehicle to get the timing right on this commercial. And sometimes he zips away too fast. Sometimes he zips away too slow. And it's just like 10 minutes of Jim being like, this time I'll do it a little slower. This time I'll say it a little different. But he does swear. He says hell.
And immediately regrets it.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't say that.
Yeah. Every time Jim swears on camera, for the most part, he's like, oh, I didn't say that.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Then we watched Change of Address, original air date March 30th, 1987. That's an episode of Fraggle Rock, by the way. Continuing the story from last episode, Doc has finally met Gobo and found out about the Fraggles just in time to have to move away to the desert to help his sick best friend, Ned Schimmelfinney. We learned some things about Doc and Ned's past.
We learned a lot in this episode.
Yeah. Doc is like, finally someone's asking me about myself, which is something I do. Whenever anybody asks me about myself, I'm just like, I'll tell you everything. Here we go. But he and Sprocket are extremely sad about losing their new friend. So sad, in fact, that Doc offers to take Gobo with them so that they can keep exploring their new friendship and so that Gobo can explore the desert. Somewhere that apparently not even traveling Matt has been. So Doc and Sprocket are about to leave, and Doc kind of leans a little too hard on Gobo to decide if he wants to leave Fraggle Rock forever. A little too much, and Gobo gets freaked out and runs away. He goes to the trash heap for some advice, and she's happy that a Fraggle has finally met a silly creature. I guess Matt does not count because he's too stupid to foster peace among different people, is my guess.
Marjorie seems fully aware probably that Matt would be...
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that Matt has met silly creatures.
She was probably worried that he would bring like war upon the Fraggles or something like that.
Somebody meets him, they're like, we could take these guys.
Yeah. But Marjorie is also seemingly a bit like pissed or something about the whole moving away situation. And she tells Gobo to tell Doc that you, quote, can't leave the magic. So Gobo and the other Fraggles go to Doc to tell him this message, but he's already gone, leaving behind him a recording on a tape to say goodbye to his new friend. So Doc and Sprocket arrive in their new desert home, and after being disappointed by not finding a Fraggle hole in their new place, they start to talk about how after meeting Fraggles, the world feels more magical and it feels full of possibility, and that maybe anything could happen. So meanwhile, the Fraggles are leaving the hole to Doc's house, and they notice a new tunnel nearby that they've never seen before. And Gobo wanders down the tunnel and comes out, wouldn't you know it, of a newly formed Fraggle hole in Doc's new place. And the magic that Marjorie spoke of is, I guess, the magic of friendship. Is that right? And that friendship can overcome anything or whatever.
I think it's just more believing in magic, everything is magic
Yeah.
sort of thing. Because they definitely lay it on thick a little bit at the end when Doc is talking to Sprocket. He's like, you know what? Maybe you're magic. Maybe I'm magic. Maybe everything is magic.
I guess that's right. I guess it's like once you see the world in the way that everything's special, you can't go back to.
Right.
Yeah. Once you like gain empathy for everyone or something like that, you can't go back. And which is the moral, I guess, too. Friendship, empathy, the whole thing summed up in one episode. Then we watched Fraggles Look for Jobs, a video that played at the Fraggle Rock rap party sometime after the show wrapped. We don't really know when. Gobo and Wembley have just finished filming the last episode of Fraggle Rock, and they're waiting outside the studio for Marlin to pick them up. As they wait, they talk about what they're going to do next. Gobo has a singing gig nailed down, and Wembley is going to buy a new shirt. They also tell little jokes, and they drop the names of people who worked on the show. Meanwhile, Moki, Red, and Boober are still inside the studio talking about their own plans. Moki wants to be a screenwriter, Red's already signed a contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Boober is cold calling agents and trying desperately to sweet talk his way into a new gig. In the end, the Fraggles jump out of the screen and into the actual in-progress rap party, where they sing a song about the show being over, but their connection to each other lasting forever. Finally, we watched Down at Fraggle Rock, a documentary that first aired on HBO on July 13th, 1987. Jim walks us through the world and the characters of Fraggle Rock, introduces us to the performers and the craftspeople who work on the show, shows us how the more technologically advanced puppets and effects work, and the whole thing is intercut with a liberal amount of clips to pad out the runtime of the show. And then between March and July of 1987, some stuff happened. Platoon won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Have you ever seen Platoon?
I have. I
I've
had
never
a
seen
weird film school Oliver Stone phase.
Then The Simpsons first appear in shorts on the Tracy Ullman Show. Reagan said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall," in reference to the Berlin Wall. Whitney Houston's album Whitney becomes the first album by a female musician to debut at #1 on the Billboard charts. That seems crazy to me. Isn't that crazy?
That feels very late.
That's so late. That's almost the 90s.
Mhm.
And Harry and the Hendersons, Predator, Spaceballs, The Brave Little Toaster, Full Metal Jacket, RoboCop, and The Lost Boys were all released in theaters in this chunk of time.
So yeah, jumping back to 1984 a little bit, we did have these ITV bloopers that just, I found them to watch for us and didn't really know where to stick them in, but I figured we should probably watch them before we finish up Fraggle Rock.
How'd you find them?
Oh, they've been shared a lot. Specifically, there's clips of the Doozer almost driving off the table. I feel like that one alone has been shared quite a bit on Twitter.
Right.
But this is posted on Facebook by Mike Quinn, who's actually one of the guys in the clip. I think he's the one repositioning the Doozer car when he's like actually physically picking it up and moving it around.
That's cool.
But he's a puppeteer who has worked with the Henson Company and the Muppets forever. He was, he's puppeteered in everything that shot in England, pretty much, from Star Wars to Muppets to everything else.
Is he one of the guys in that clip? One of my favorite parts of this whole thing was the clip in the documentary where Fazicus, which I guess is how you say his name. Never how I said it, but
well, I actually think it's different. I think he says Fazicus.
Fazicus, right.
Which we've always said like Fazakis,
yeah,
or like Fazakis, and then Jim's like Fazicus, and I'm like, what? I feel like that's even different than he has said it before.
Yeah.
So we're just always gonna go with the most recent pronunciation of Fazicus that we've heard.
Fazicus, and he's like working on something in his workshop, and he's like talking to his little assistant guys. He's like, "We're in luck, boys." Remember that part? They like successfully hit a doozer with like a pie or something, and he's like, "We're in luck, boys." Is one of them that guy?
I don't think so, because I think he's an England-based puppeteer. But I do like that it was like an Oppenheimer like moment.
It really was, yeah.
We pulled it off. I can't believe we actually did it.
The way he said it was so serious. But they had hit a doozer with like a donut. So it was great.
Mike Quinn is the one who was also, we talked about him before because he was also Nien Nub in Star Wars.
Oh,
he was
yes.
puppeteered by him.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, this is it's about a 9-minute clip. It's, most of it's just behind the scenes dullness, as Sam and I are familiar with being production people who are often on sets. A lot of times it is just sitting around waiting.
A lot of time it takes longer than 9 minutes too.
Yeah, no, they at one point you can hear who's maybe the assistant director or one of the producers really trying to like, all right, guys, we gotta go. She even says something like, upstairs, they're watching and they're pretty happy with what we got so far. And Jim's like, it looks pretty junky, which I'm on Jim's side in this one. What they had recorded at that point when she's like, everyone's pretty happy with what we got. I'm like, really? I don't think you should be.
I thought for sure it was just like a dress rehearsal, but then
it seemed like it was.
Oh, this is really what you're
and they kept having a chair that was casting a shadow on the curtain behind the doozer, and multiple times commented on it, and then would move it, and it would still be in the shot.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been there, but...
I mean, we recently, as of recording this, both were just on set for a while, puppeteering some puppets for SciShow Kids. And And there's definitely times where I'm like, I think my hat was fully in the frame on that
Yeah.
one. Sorry, guys.
I think we've recorded episodes of SciShow where when we get the footage back, we're like, oh, there was a stool back there the whole time.
The whole time?
Cool.
How did nobody notice that? But yeah, Jim is clearly there controlling the mouth of the doozer and doing the voice while somebody else is driving the little bike around. I think somebody named David. I did not look up who David was, but they keep referencing David. And yeah, we get some just fun lines where he's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to run myself off this table and bust myself into little pieces.
I wonder if it's frustrating for him to not have control of some aspect of the character that he's playing.
I think my guess would be probably, but he also seems to want to lean into that a little bit more because at one point
that's true.
they just drive in and stop and have a close up. And the next take, he encourages him to drive around a bit more and move the bike around while he's performing. So I think he wants a little bit of that being able to go, here we go, trying
That's
to get
true.
around.
Yeah, I guess it is really just like the way you think about it. And I'm sure at this point he's like, ooh, it's fun that there's that little extra challenge or that little extra thing I can. Because he also is just like, how do I control this crazy thing? Which, yeah, you're right. That's a good way to hang a hat on like the erraticness of it, maybe.
But yeah, after the producer is like, everyone kind of likes what we did there. Like, I think we got it. And Jim's like, it sucked. I promise you, it's not good. She's like, okay, maybe one more then. And they do like 3 or 4 more after that.
I wonder if they had Jim for 10 minutes and then they were, it took them 9 minutes and some change and they were just starting to sweat.
I'm guessing that's what it was. It seemed like a time crunch issue, not like we're trying to rush Jim Henson along for some reason.
Or just knowing that if Jim's there, he could be there all day until you get this ad perfect that no one will ever see.
Yeah, because there's even at one point Jim's like, "We'll get this right," and somebody off screen's like, "When?"
Bold to talk to Jim that way.
Jim responds nicely though. He's like, "Every day at 4 on ITV," and then says, "The frog is a lot easier."
Yeah, I like that part. I forgot about that part. I think it is like, it's so fun to see these moments that we used to get to see way more of when they were on talk shows more often, where he and Frank would have a little like, all right, you got to go over there and do this, or like, oh, you didn't do that right. But now everything we see is so polished that you really don't get to see, them just messing around as much as they used to.
Yeah, I feel like they let them play a little bit during Muppets Mayhem tour when like the Mayhem members were at D23 and stuff. Like I feel like you got some fun moments between like Floyd and Dr. Teeth and stuff at some of those events. But
I mean, even like at this period where we're watching stuff.
Right, yeah.
I think actually maybe it's looped around a little bit more to where it is like, we don't always know exactly what we're doing, so let's just do some wacky stuff. But like everything feels so controlled that comes out of Muppet headquarters in 1987 that they're not fussing at each other in front of people, and they're not like, pieces aren't falling off of them like on live TV or whatever.
I wonder if the novelty of Muppets has worn off by this point.
Like that's a good point.
I wonder if the reason that they're not asked on as many Tonight Show appearances and things like that is because people are like, yeah, it's the Muppets. We get it.
Yeah. Like, I've become accustomed to your face. You used to kill, but now people are like, what?
Yeah, okay.
We've seen some things now.
That frog ate a worm. Ooh. I wonder if it's just no one's going to be like, I can't believe it. I'm talking to a frog.
Yeah, that's true. I can very much believe it. I've met this frog many times before. I grew up with this frog.
This frog won't leave me alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder if that's part of it. I do wonder if it's because they're not doing as many TV shows and movies, if we're just not getting as many promotional swings. But I have to imagine, back when they were on Johnny Carson all the time, it wasn't because they had a new thing to promote every time. It was just because we want to have these Muppets on TV to show people these wild things.
Just because they were bumming around New York, and that's the kind of thing you do when you're bumming around New York in the mid-'60s, I guess.
But I think it is an interesting swing. I'll be curious to see as we get closer to the Jim Henson hour if that changes at all, if Jim's going to be out there really pushing that one on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, but I bet he'd be pushing it in a more like he'll be in his like button down like
Mm,
this is what we're trying to do with this show
right.
kind of mode.
But we also know that at some point, he'll be on the Arsenio Hall show, cussing up a storm as Rolf.
Yeah,
So there's some point at which there's a little bit of a turn to bringing, Rolf on a TV show
right.
alone is a weird swing.
That is weird.
uh,
Yeah.
but
Huh.
leaning in a little bit more to the casual vibe.
Yeah. And I think now I've been thinking about it, and the Sesame Street Muppets also nowadays are very casual when they go on
Mm,
stuff. And I guess they've always kind of been that way. Like
yeah.
maybe Elmo kind of set that tone of like we go, I guess even back to Grover really was doing it.
Yeah, but
But
Grover often isn't on, the Tonight Show or anything like that,
right.
being interviewed by
Right.
himself. He doesn't, he can't carry a show.
Yeah, but I guess Elmo maybe really solidified the like when I'm on the Rosie show, I'm a little bit of a different Elmo. I can
Yeah.
be a bit cheekier,
I can
and that
age up just a little
yeah,
bit.
and that carried across to like yeah, to all of them, to like Cookie Monster and Big
Mm.
Bird doing the same thing.
Well, next up, we're going to talk about the Down at Fraggle Rock behind the scenes documentary that aired in July of 1987. It opens up with some fantastic behind the scenes footage of The Rock Goes On from the
Mm-hmm.
Honk of Honks
Yeah,
thing
that
we
was
just
really
talked
cool.
about. And you get to see Jim delighted off to the side, just watching everyone dance and sing.
Yeah, he's having a great time.
But
He
then,
knows he did a good job on this one.
yeah. But then it kind of becomes Fraggle 101 for a
Yeah, really
while.
surprising, like to a surprising degree. This is like what you'd show before the series starts or something, not like a couple months after the series is over.
Yeah, it's not quite as in depth as something like Of Muppets and Men as far as showing the behind the scenes. Like we get a lot of behind the scenes clips, but they're not really adding narration to those moments to say what
Right.
is happening. We're just sort of watching it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And about halfway through, they're suddenly like, "Oh yeah, so Jerry Nelson is a puppeteer."
Yeah.
But in the beginning, Jim's just introducing us to the concept of Fraggles
Mm-hmm.
and what doozers are, and then we get a lot of songs uh nearly played in full.
Yeah, that happens like several times in this, and I was just like, skip forward 10 seconds, skip forward 10 seconds. All right.
Some of them were nice to revisit. Like there were certain songs where I was like, "Hey, I forgot
Yeah.
about that one."
Yeah.
Boober's "I'm Never Alone," where he's like doing laundry and he's playing the harp with his
Oh
own like
yeah, I like that
bust
one.
on it.
There's a good montage where Jim's like, and we use a bunch of different musical styles, and I think
Mm,
that was in that part where it just goes through like I liked seeing the doo-wop, like the Bad Doozers singing the Rev song.
yeah.
Like that was a pretty funny idea. I like that.
Yeah, the Doozer songs especially, there's some very good ones
Mm-hmm.
hidden away in there. And I do feel like this is a good overall look back on Fraggle Rock that
Mm-hmm.
maybe, if we watched it a year from now, we might go, "Oh, that was so nice to revisit
Yeah.
everything." But because we just watched the series finale and then this is
Yeah.
like, yeah,
No,
we know.
I know that already. Yeah. I've seen the inside of Junior's head a million times. You can't show me anything I've never seen before.
Well, yeah, they talk about the puppeteers individually. We get some focus on Jerry Nelson. They show off Philip Balsam and Dennis Lee working on the music, rehearsing the songs.
That was
Uh,
cool. I wish we could have seen more of that. I wish we could have seen a little bit more of the like more of the writers and more of the music part of it. Because it was cool to see them. Like the most effective part of the whole thing to me, I think, was when they were doing the music, and it was showing them writing the music, and then them practicing, and then just like recording it, and then
mhm.
lip syncing it. That was like one of the best like introductions to to like how production works on stuff. I feel like if
Right.
some people watch that who like people on Reddit who are like don't know how anything works and are so stupid, they would watch that, they'd be like, "Oh, okay."
Take that, Reddit.
Like a bunch of people make stuff. I feel like that is
Yeah.
lost on a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it is a nice how it's made Fraggle
Mm-hmm.
Rock. Like I think it's a very surface level. This happens and then this happens and this happens. But I do think Of Muppets and Men does that in a way that dives slightly more into it by
Yeah.
showing the recording and people having fun and doing this like they're really moving at a clip through
Uh
this
huh.
to show you just like the actual assembly line. But
Yeah.
you're not really living in any of the moments too long.
Yeah. Which is It's fine. I think it kind of was frustrating that they played so many clips.
Right. Like if they had played
That
less
was like,
clips and
yeah,
spent more time in the songwriting or whatever.
yeah. We already like this show. You don't have to convince us, but
Well, at the time this aired, the show is over too.
yeah,
So
it's been over for a few months. I'm
I
sure,
don't.
they played it on HBO for a million years, but
Yeah, and it wouldn't be too long, I think, before it starts getting syndicated on things like the Disney Channel.
yeah,
So
that's right. You know why I'm actually frustrated with Reddit is because this morning I ran across a thread
yeah.
where it was like about that Ironheart Marvel show. And it's
Mm.
like an 8-episode series, and it was like the writers for each episode have been released, and it was the list of the people who wrote all 8 episodes. And the comments were like, a different writer for every episode? This show's gonna suck. And then a lot of other people being like, that's how every show works, you complete moron.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing made me like,
Most shows, you might see the same, think about like West Wing. Every episode of that show when Aaron Sorkin was there says teleplay by Aaron Sorkin. But he had a writer's room who was contributing to those scripts. And there's another credit that usually will say, I think, story by these
yeah,
two people, teleplay by
right,
Aaron Sorkin. And so it's like, yeah, you have a team of writers on every show, even if one person's getting all the credit at the end
yeah.
of the day. But yeah,
Even on shows that are like
Breaking Bad has many different writers, I believe,
right,
like, or at least many directors, at least that change it up. But it's
yeah,
not a rare thing.
yeah, because generally one person can't write 24 episodes of something.
As
I
we
mean,
saw
even like
from Muppet Babies, the man had to leave because he was it drove him nuts.
That's a great example. That show, as far as I know, did not have a writer's room to speak of. It was just really just that guy.
This one
And-
man in a room writing for 4 seasons and then being like, "I'm out.
and he was
Hire
never
some more people,
the same.
please."
He was never the same again. Yeah.
To be fair, I know nothing about that man
No,
other
I
than
don't
he's
either,
been
but
embroiled in some lawsuits with Disney recently.
oh,
But beyond that, I don't actually know if he
no.
had a good or bad time.
Putting myself in that position though, that would be hard. I feel for him more than anything in that particular instance.
I also feel like I chose a bad example because I'm pretty sure Vince Gilligan wrote a lot of Breaking Bad, but there was other writers.
I think like any comedy series, every episode of any comedy series is basically written by a
Yeah.
different person, but they still
The
have
Office
through
is one of
lines and
those, I
stuff.
believe,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
like every episode is written by different people. Just because, the Muppet Show had the same 2 writers forever
Yeah.
doesn't mean every show does.
That show was also better once it didn't just have the same 2 writers forever.
Well, we do get to see the inside of a Gorg's head, which we have seen once before, I believe, in one of the museum exhibit
Yeah.
clips that we saw.
This was a more intimate look at how they put the Gorg suits on. There's a part where they all like crouch down onto their knees at the same time.
Mhm.
That was very like ritualistic or something. There was something about that part where they were all in a line, crouched down, heads bowed, waiting to have their Gorg heads put on. That was like, this is like the end of Hereditary or something. Something really bad is about to happen to these people.
As you're describing it like that, it makes me think of The Walking Dead when there's a character who has a baseball bat and he's lining people up and they're all sitting
Yeah.
on their knees
Yeah.
waiting to be smashed in the head with a baseball bat.
These people are just waiting to have a big goofy cartoon head put on them.
But that back of the head is like peeled open
Yeah.
in a way that is unsettling.
It's unsettling.
And they're just like jostling around Ma Gorg's head in a way that made me uncomfortable.
But it is amazing that you can see that stuff and still look at them and not be horrified. Like the human brain. Human brain's a great place. It works pretty good, I guess.
Well, and the fact that you can go so quickly from seeing that to believing Junior Gorg is a real walking around creature in like 2 seconds and being like, hey, there he is.
Hey,
He's
there,
alive.
buddy. Yeah.
But Jim shows us Gorg vision where the camera's looking out of the Gorg's eye to the monitor of the suit wearer where they can see.
I love that. It seems like so much trouble that they went to do that, but it's great.
And I just imagine Carol Spinney being like, huh, really?
Yeah. You know,
right.
cameras are smaller now than they used to
Seems
be.
like
You
a
could
good option.
probably do this for me. Does Big Birds have that now or no?
No. I believe it's still just the monitor on the chest.
I mean, you
and
can do a fiber optic camera for crying out loud. It wouldn't take nothing.
Yeah, they can stick cameras in your heart. I think they can
Yeah.
stick one in Big Bird's eye.
Help Big Bird, please.
I mean, once you get used to that work, maybe it's weirder to have it. Or maybe Big Bird's too tall and having a camera
Maybe.
up 8 feet in the sky is actually too much.
I was thinking about Gorg Vision. I bet you feel crazy when you're like looking out of somebody else's eyes. I mean, it's like one of the
Right.
closest things to like being in a mech suit, probably. But
Yeah.
it
Well, and
probably
it's
just
also just
feels
like a
so.
foot taller than you are. It's like not too dramatic,
Yeah,
but like seeing differently than you're feeling has got to be a weird
yeah. But I would guess you
sense.
slip into it easily. I bet
Maybe
at
it's like
first
sea
it's like,
legs. When you come out of it, you're like,
yeah,
whoa, like
whoa,
stumbling over things.
I'm a foot shorter now. I
Yeah.
can go under all the doors I
You're
want.
not ducking under everything.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out when we're talking about the Gorgs that we see another book in front of Jerry Nelson.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
we had talked long before. There's a moment in Of Muppets and Men where they're filming something with like the Gophers, and Jerry Nelson grabs a book on his lap and like holds it up to the camera to like try and show off a book.
Yeah.
But they're so far away, he's a little out of focus. You can't tell what this book is. And so I've been obsessed with trying to figure out what the hell book is Jerry Nelson insistent on showing the camera during
Mm-hmm.
A Muppets and Men. Still haven't found it. But this time, very clearly on the table, a copy of Tamboo, a book by Robert Asprin, which is like a sci-fi fantasy book from 1979. So I think we had talked once before that the cover of the book Jerry Nelson held up in the Muppets and Men looked like a sci-fi fantasy kind of 70s cover.
Mm-hmm.
And this leads me to believe that we're probably right about that. It does not necessarily make it easier to find what book that was.
Right.
Having looked through Robert
I mean,
Asprin's
yeah.
books, none of them look like the right book. So I don't
There's
think
an
he was
infinite
just...
number of sci-fi paperbacks.
That's the problem. And they all have amazing covers. But trying to narrow that down has been difficult. But thank you down at Fraggle Rock for helping add one more piece to the puzzle of being able to narrow down what kind of books Jerry Nelson was into.
That is not surprising in the least either.
No,
Well,
no, no, no.
I could see him actually like he could be reading like Nietzsche or something on
That's the exact same surface level pull that I was going to do.
Yeah.
What's a smart book? Yeah, no, I was going to say the same thing. And I think, yeah, maybe he's doing that on the weekends, but it seems like he's always got like a sci-fi fantasy book maybe just nearby.
Yeah.
Well, we do get the moment with Fazicus teaching us some doozer behind the scenes. And it's just showing off puppeteering a doozer and the complicated ways you can puppeteer their little vehicles and doozers at the same time, which we saw evidence of both in this, but also in the behind the scenes commercial recording with Jim.
I wish I could do stuff like that.
You
I
can,
never
Sam.
ever will learn how to wire stuff up and make a special remote control for a little device that I've made, but it looks so cool.
It also seems like he didn't get too much into this, but it seemed like he was implying that there are some doozers that were maybe a little too hard to work with, and so they simplified and went with like the Waldo version in most cases, because there's the one that has like the 4 hydraulic cords and stuff going out of it that like seems like 5 different people would have to be operating it, and then there's the one that's like nailed to the table that you can just use the Waldo and move that around and control it.
I wonder if we went back and watched some earlier doozer stuff, if we'd be like, oh, they used to move way more than they do now.
I mean, I specifically remember because they brought up the clip in this, but also because we talked about it at the time during Cotterpin's first like initiation ceremony where she doesn't want to be a doozer.
Right.
There are some very, very expressive doozers at that panel that I think we've never seen since. Doozers with that much expression.
Huh. I also bet there was a lot of times when they were doing doozer stuff when they just were like, why did we do this? Why did we invent the doozers?
Yeah, anytime you have a puppet smaller than your hand, I have to imagine it gets more complicated.
Especially in 1987.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we do see Kathy Mullen as Cotterpin Doozer for a moment, and also get to talk about Moki for a bit.
We get some Moki lore. Did we know she was older than the rest of them?
I don't know if we knew that from Fraggle Rock, but I feel like it was maybe on Muppet Wiki and we learned it at some point. But Kathy Mullen states it outright that Moki is taller, which we could visually tell, but also older than the other Fraggles, so she has to portray her a little bit differently than the other puppeteers do.
Do we also know, like, where did that the Doozers are singing a song about going to the radish mines. Do you remember that from one of the episodes?
I don't remember anything, Sam.
I don't
So
either. I was like, oh, I guess we've known for a long time they were made of radishes.
we
But
knew, the Fraggles
yeah, I
didn't.
guess that's right. I just don't remember when that song was from.
Probably like episode 2 or something.
Yeah, probably so. I really loved getting to hear from the puppeteers. I wish we had had a little bit more of that, like the performers.
Yeah, we get Kathy Mullen is really the only one who really sits down for an interview, but
Yeah,
they kind of rush through Steve Whitmire. I don't even know if they say Karen Prell's name when they're talking about Red, or if they do,
they
it's a one sentence.
they talk about her in a little bit later. They talk
Mm.
about Red, I think, and then there's a couple of different beats, and then they start talking about Karen because they're like, she is brand new. Like they don't say much about her. Or they start the Red thing with being like, "This is Karen. She brings a different energy to puppet to a Muppet," and then they just talk about Red, and they don't go back to her and be like, "Red's like this." Even though Red's one of the ones I'd like to know the most about, like what the how the performer thinks about Red. I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, I think Jim says in the narration, if Gobo is the driver of the Fraggle Five, Red is the engine.
Sure.
Which I was like, all right, what are the rest of the people? Is Wembley a tire? What is the car metaphor here?
Yeah, the other ones are all tires. There's 3 tires, a driver, and an engine.
Just like a little trike.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's kind of an oversimplification of Red also, maybe. Because I don't know. She's kind of doing her own thing in a way that a lot of the rest of them aren't. Or like she gets her feelings hurt the most and like goes off to find herself more than the rest of them do.
Well, then we get into the international dubs of Fraggle Rock and talk a bit
Yes.
about how this show was not only produced as a co-production with other countries, but also dubbed over in many other countries. And so we get to hear some French, German, Spanish, Finnish, Dutch, Danish, Norwegian, and Swedish Fraggles.
I liked that. I loved finally also being able to see the other docs too.
Yeah, Jim talks about the different docks and sprocket segments in other countries, and we get to see the British lighthouse keeper dock, the French chef dock, and the German inventor dock.
The lighthouse keeper doc seemed a little scary.
Well, and at some point, I know he goes away. I don't
he
know.
leaves and a younger person takes.
Yeah.
A younger guy shows up.
Yeah, the French chef with not sprocket but croquette.
Croquettes, yeah.
And the thing that stood out to me the most was the German doc segments were filmed beautifully.
Yeah, they looked great.
Like, I don't know what they were doing different on that series, but those looked better than anything else that's ever been on Fraggle Rock.
The lighting was really nice. The camera angle was interesting. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's like Gobo was in the front of the frame, and like Doc and Sprocket were a little out of focus in the background. But along those lines, Jim also talks about Uncle Traveling Matt traveling around the world, thanks to those co-production teams who were able to go do the puppeteering and filming. He also mentions that Dave Goles, who is the puppeteer behind Uncle Traveling Matt, he kind of talks about it in a way of like, can you believe Dave was out designing computer consoles in California before he came to be a puppeteer with us? And my brain was just like, man, Dave, you probably could have made a lot more money.
Up, dude. Yeah, you could have co-founded Microsoft, probably.
Yeah, me and my friend Steve Wozniak were hanging out in California, and I was like, I have this opportunity to go be a puppeteer. Maybe I'll try that out for a little while.
Yeah, I had the exact same thought. The way Jim talks about the guys who've been there forever is kind of funny too. It's just funny to hear him talk about them like he doesn't know them that well or something. I don't know.
Jerry Nelson is, let me check my notes, a puppeteer who's been with us since the mid-'60s. Wow. Really? Huh.
I can't believe that. Yeah.
I've known this guy for over 20 years. That's nuts. But yeah, we do get to highlight Boober and Dave a little bit before moving on to Steve Whitmire's segment, which is also quite brief.
Yeah.
Where they're just sort of saying, and Steve's been here since the Muppet Show.
Well, maybe that's also like when he's like, and he's one of the funniest guys. And if I was Dave or the other guy, Jerry, I'd be like, hey, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you didn't say anything nice about me. You said I was weird. That's what you said about me. And then you basically said Jerry's just old.
Yeah. I wish they did have more sit-down chats with the puppeteers in this, just to hear their side of things.
Yeah, right.
It feels like it is like they
we
filmed a
don't.
lot of behind the scenes footage and then we're like, all right, Jim, you're going to narrate this.
I feel like kind of especially with Jerry, we don't ever get to hear him talk about. Not. I feel like especially with Dave, we don't ever really get to hear him back in the day talk about
Yeah.
his work. I'm sure he does now or has a bunch since then, but there
Yeah, he's
just aren't a
definitely done
lot of
some podcasts.
not a lot of
So,
in the moment interviews with Dave or Jerry,
yeah.
which is so weird because we just think about them so much, but the public, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people knew their names, but they're like some of the most prominent puppeteers in the entire world, and they barely ever get their names mentioned.
Yeah.
I guess he says Jerry's really good at singing.
He does mention Jerry's voice. Yeah.
He says Steve is really funny, and he says Dave is weird.
Yeah, and Dave could have made it rich, but he's slumming it with us.
Can you believe this loser? Yeah. In the Uncle Traveling Matt montage, it shows him get his head shaved. You think his hair just never grew back after that? Remember he gets shaved when he's a sheep?
I think that's one of those they forgot they did that moments.
Yeah, my headcanon is that his hair just never grew back.
Uncle Traveling Matt's head cannon.
That's his headcanon? Okay.
Yeah, the cannon of his head.
I'm gonna come kick your ass.
Well, Jim talks a bit more about Michael Frith as well, another man I wish we could have heard from in this.
Yeah.
But they talk about how he designed the original Fraggles. Again, this is like a lot of surface level, interesting information. If this is the only time you're learning a lot of this information about Fraggle Rock.
We read a whole book about this.
Yeah. But they show the building of some Fraggles in the background. And they show a montage of a bunch of the non-Fraggle, the more unusual background puppets on Fraggle Rock. And then we see a delightful moment where Jim is running through the caves of Fraggle Rock.
I loved that.
He's just like, hey, you might think that was me running on Fraggle Rock, but actually, I'm on a green screen.
I'm not running through a cave. What a cool guy.
But it does lead to showing us how they use blue screens and green screens to, put the Fraggles in the Gorg's garden and other visual tricks, one of which Jim won't tell us.
Yeah. What's just a green screen?
No, you have to figure it out for yourself, and it's mysterious and special, Sam.
When he said that, I was like, I didn't even think it's from the episode with the Whoopie water, I think it's called. Yeah. And it's when they first discover it, and Wembley's like on top of the geyser of Whoopie water, and the two other Fraggles are like, whoa, this is cool. And when that scene in the show happened, I was like, this is just happening. But it is interesting to go back and think about, like, it wasn't. What if the secret was, though, it was?
Yeah, Jim's being very mysterious after revealing a lot of other secrets that very clearly explain what is happening in the other clip.
Yeah.
And then we do get a visit from Richard Hunt, who in the past we've theorized was just always hanging around, ready to be on camera or puppeteer, a Beaker or a Sweetums.
Well,
or somebody.
The rap video confirms that further.
Yeah. But they show Richard directing the episode that he directed just a couple ago. And he talks about directing, and then he quickly moves on to talking about his love of performing as Junior Gorg.
Yeah.
Because he did direct only one episode. So they talk about this big career shift for Richard from performer to director. And it's like, all right, slow down. I have only directed one episode of television at this point.
Yeah. But he does love Junior. He is so charming. I love hearing from him.
Yeah.
And I loved hearing the way he talked about Junior and all the different influences he took. And the poor kid whose voice he was making fun of to be that character.
Yeah. Some kids out there like, God damn it, I can't believe he stole my voice. Somebody we thankfully do get to hear from a little bit in this documentary is Jerry Jewell, who is discussed by Jim and also interviewed briefly. It's nice to see Jerry Jewell because he seems like a delightful man and somebody who, performed one of our favorite characters, Tamanella Grindelwald, and then Joseph was like, I peaked. I don't need to ever puppeteer again. I'm just going to go right for these guys.
It's also, I like these behind the scenes wrap ups we get of everything, because I feel like it really does give you, like, if you know as much about it as we do, or you've like
Hmm.
lived in the world of it for as long as we have, it's like we can tell when they weren't having fun doing something.
Right.
Like you can tell that they hated filming Dark Crystal, and that everybody
Right.
was really stressed out, and that everybody was mad at Jim, and Jim was probably also mad at himself too, and that it was just crazy. But with this, and even like the rap party, it's like they get pretty cynical in parts of it, but at the end they still sing like a really cute song, and it's like, oh god, we're all gonna miss each other. But yeah, with this also, you just do get the feeling that everybody's telling the truth when they're like, this is a joy to do.
It reminds me a bit of one of the times we had Sujith Verghese on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him talking about, as they wrapped up, it being sad, but also not necessarily. I think there was a vibe that they were going to do it again in some way. Not necessarily more Fraggle Rock, but I think from our conversation with him, it felt like no one thought that the end of Fraggle Rock was going to be the last time they were going to be working with Jim
Yeah,
or working with the Muppets.
right.
They were
I
all
mean,
sort of
that's
like,
what the
this was
song
fun.
and the rap party is.
Yeah, it's all like, we'll do this again someday.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, most of you won't. Like, I don't think they go back to that Canadian production team,
Yeah.
at least not anytime soon.
See ya, Canadians.
Yeah. But then Jim gets to talk about Cantus a bit before pivoting into really trying to lay in the moral of Fraggle Rock in general
Mm-hmm.
and be like, if you didn't get it, it's about the global community, and everyone needs to look past their differences and find ways to help each other.
Yeah. Why
And I will
hasn't
say it
this
3
stopped
more
war?
times.
Yeah. Why hasn't this stopped war yet? I don't understand.
There was one goal of starting the show, and we finished the show, and somehow
And
war
yet
is still happening.
war remains.
It's a rough KPI to get at work. Hey, so I know you're making a fun puppet show, but your
Yeah.
number one KPI was to end all wars, and you did miss the
You
mark.
failed, unfortunately.
So we're gonna have to let you go. Try to stop war next time, maybe.
Yeah.
If I could offer you some advice.
Or set more realistic goals.
Then they show a bunch of clips of Fraggles all helping each other before Jim ends the show saying, "We're not inheriting the world from our parents. We're borrowing it from our children."
Beautiful. I did think about that in horror for a while after he said it.
It seems to be a quote often attributed to Chief Seattle,
Uh,
um, that is similar enough to what Jim said. He paraphrased it a little bit,
sure.
but yeah, it is one of those things where he achieved his goal of, I'm going to make you think on the way out.
Yeah. But yeah, not my favorite documentary we've ever watched about one of these things.
I was hoping for maybe some more revelations.
Yeah.
Some things I didn't feel like I already knew, which again, we
Mhm.
live in a weird world where we're constantly talking about these things. But I think it's a good thing if you haven't watched Fraggle Rock every week for the last year and a half. It's a good refresher. It is wild to me that we just started talking about Fraggle Rock in January 2023.
That does seem like we busted through it pretty fast, right?
Yeah, but it also feels like it's been with us forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a year and a half is a pretty long time.
Yeah, I'm a
So
37-year-old man right now.
you started as a
5?
5-year-old man.
When
Is
35
that
when we
right?
started talking about Fraggle Rock, and now I'm old.
So
Damn.
it has remained in our lives for quite a while. But yeah, we did it. It's of everything that we've watched, this had to be the one that took us the least amount of time. Why?
Because they weren't doing much else.
Yeah.
So getting into it, we watched the series finale episode, Change of Address, written by Jerry Jewell, directed by Eric Till, that aired on March 30th, 1987.
You know, this doesn't feel like a Jerry episode. I found myself wondering who wrote it because I just didn't read it at the beginning. But I wouldn't
It
have
feels
guessed
like
Jerry.
they gave him the weight of it. They were like, hey, we trust you with this, as opposed to write us a Jerry episode. So I think it's more of Jerry doing the job as opposed to Jerry writing a typical Jerry episode.
Yeah, Jerry Unchained. This was not Jerry Unchained. This was Jerry
Restrained.
Jerry Restrained. Jerry ultimately understanding exactly what the show is.
Yeah.
Sometimes him understanding it so well meant that he did stuff that was really weird. But not this one. I guess he
There's
does introduce a crazy concept at
there's
the end
some
of it.
yeah, there's some things in here that I think only Jerry would do, but
Yeah.
or only Jerry would be allowed to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Worth noting the UK version of this episode. I think we commented previously that a lot of the other co-productions like France and Germany did not end with this episode, maybe
Mhm.
because they didn't want to do the complicated wraparound filming that would be necessary.
Right.
But in the UK version, the plot is nearly the same, except that the lighthouse is being automated by electronic machines.
No, that's
Uh,
too sad.
yeah, so Doc is going to be out of a job in the
Oh,
UK
no.
version. And so, well, it's BJ, not Doc in
Right.
that one. But after they leave, Gobo leads his friends to the lighthouse, where Wembley and Moki unsuccessfully try to communicate with the new machines.
Hmm.
And then Gobo
Wow.
finds,
There's a whole other part?
yeah, they do.
Huh.
There's a whole thing. Instead of the like going out and just seeing he's not there, they go out and try to talk to the machines. Then Gobo finds a goodbye note from BJ claiming they've left for good. And then BJ takes up a job as a caretaker at a castle, which is where he and Sprocket discover the second Fraggle hole.
That's where, I mean, you're going to find a Fraggle hole in a castle.
Well, at the beginning of the episode, following up after last time, Doc has packed up the workshop, but really wants to see Gobo again before they move away in just a few hours.
They're so sad about this. They seem more sad about this than they are sad about Ned. Like,
Or Miss
then
Ardath, who
they don't even talk. I mean, they do mention Miss Ardath, but he's completely given up on trying to get married to Miss Ardath. He knows that's not happening.
he has chosen Ned.
Yeah. But we learn that Ned chose him.
Yeah,
once upon a
time.
time.
We will get there, but
Okay.
there's a lot we learn about Doc specifically, but also Ned in this episode.
Really, yeah.
But before that, we learn that Doc's been trying to lure Gobo out of the Fraggle hole with food, including donuts,
treats.
dog biscuits, crackers, and pizza.
I liked the through line, like the little running gag in this where all the Fraggles have, like, Moki's wearing the crackers on her shirt, and Red has the dog bone, the dog treat as a little bow tie. They hung the pizza on the wall. I like that a lot. But Fraggles love eating food. I don't know why they didn't eat the food, but I do like that they decorated with it. I'm sure they've talked about pizza before. I would be willing to bet that Boober has made a pizza.
There are a few times in this episode where they do that thing again. They reference not knowing something that I'm like, I bet you said that word before, though.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you referenced a dog or something in one of your songs, or, you know, you had a radio in Fraggle Rock at one point. Hearing a tape recorder shouldn't surprise you.
Yeah.
Doc talks to Sprocket about how they have to go to the desert with Ned, which is something we theorized last time. We knew they were moving away, but I think we said Arizona. So,
did we? Yeah, maybe we did.
I think we said they were going to go to Arizona, and I don't think they referenced anything about a desert last time. So I think this is them confirming our suspicions.
Okay. I could have sworn they did, but yeah, you're probably right. I probably just imagined it. There's some old movie where where somebody has to move away to Arizona because their lungs are messed up. I don't remember what one. I think that happens in a lot of old movies, but.
Well, before they have to go, Doc is going to write a note for Gobo, and Sprocket lets out a little Gobo whimper.
Yeah, he's leaving all his friends behind.
His only friends.
Yeah,
he hates the cat that he's going to move in with.
He hates Ned. He hates the cat.
Down on Fraggle Rock, Wembley brings in the donut he found, and we learn that Gobo has had the Fraggle flu, which seems to be only a thing to explain why Gobo hasn't gone to visit Doc again recently.
Didn't come straight back, yeah.
But Red, wearing the dog biscuit around her neck, brings in the note she also just found, saying, "Dear Fraggle, me and my dog were very excited to meet you the other day. Please come visit again. We should get to know each other and explore each other's worlds. But you must hurry, because we are moving away tonight." So Doc comes in with the airplane tickets, or rather, one airplane ticket.
This is quite a pointless little side plot.
But the way it pays off is great.
It is really good, yeah.
We learn that Sprocket's going to have to travel in the baggage area. And he loses it when he finds out that he doesn't get a ticket for the plane.
I mean, I would also hate that. And I'm sure real dogs hate that quite a bit.
Yeah, we have never traveled on a plane with our dog because of that, because she would have to travel there. Small dogs and cats, you can get away with sticking them like
Under
under
your
the seat.
chair or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. It was at this point where I'm surprised we had not heard any mention of the inn or Miss Ardath yet, as Doc is talking about having to leave and travel and all this stuff.
Doc got fired at some point off screen, I think.
Yeah. You didn't want to mention it to Sprocket.
Uh-huh.
But this is when we learn that Doc moved to the seashore for, quote, the marine biology business.
Never something he's mentioned even remotely before being interested in.
And we learn that Ned moved out there to help him with the marine biology business, and that apparently it didn't work out.
What even is the marine biology business, though?
I don't know. Like, what were they trying to achieve?
Is
Like, were
Doc
they just
a doctor? Does he have a doctorate in marine biology?
To me, it seems like a scam.
Yeah.
Like, the marine biology business sounds like you were setting up a scam that you needed your friend Ned to come help you with,
Maybe
and then
he
it
was
all
like-
fell through.
He was like importing exotic fish illegally or something. I'm in the marine biology business.
Yeah. Illegal caviar or something going on with.
But it was obviously
Doc there.
such a good idea that whatever it was uprooted Ned from his life. I feel like if we went back through, that just doesn't hold water to me. Ned was there when Doc moved in. And they hate each other. Maybe they hate each other because of the failed business.
Yeah. Ned's like, I uprooted my entire life. I left my family to move here and be with you to run my marine biology business, and you failed us, Doc.
Oh.
But yes, I do. This lends slightly more credence to our idea that Doc lives in the workshop behind Ned's house.
Yeah.
But also, I do feel like early on, it felt like Doc moved into this new neighborhood where Ned already lived.
Right. Ned was an established character in this place that Doc went to. That was my
Ned is not talked about
understanding,
as an old friend.
too. Mm-mm.
Well, Gobo pops out of the Fraggle hole to say hello, and this is when we don't stop learning crazy shit because we hear, hello, I'm Doc. My name is Jerome Crystal.
We didn't need to know that. There's something about it where I'm just like, no, I don't need to hear this right now.
Jerome Crystal.
His name can just be Doc. It's okay.
No. He's no longer Doc in my
He's
eyes.
Jerome.
He is not even Jerry, because he could be Jerry. His real name's Jerry.
That's true. You're right.
But they went with Jerome Crystal.
And Crystal's a very odd last name, too.
Well, and Jerome Crystal just feels like a 70s commercial man, like
Yeah.
played by Billy D. Williams,
Uh-huh.
trying to sell me something.
Yes. Some kind of refreshing beverage or something.
Yeah, like the most interesting man in the world,
Uh-huh.
but played by
Is-
Billy D. Williams in the 70s.
Yeah.
That's who Jerome Crystal is
That's
to
true.
me.
Or like a lounge singing actor or something.
Ooh, yeah.
Jerome Crystal. The
Like
velvet
Wayne
tones
Newton,
of Jerome
like opening
Crystal.
for Jerome Crystal.
Uh-huh. Wow, Wayne Newton's opening for Jerome Crystal?
It's Jerome Crystal, Sam.
He's a big
He
deal.
taught Frank Sinatra everything he knows.
But no, he's just a strange old man in Canada who talks to his dog.
Like he could even just said, like, my name's Jerry. My friends call me Doc. Because that'd be a fun little meta joke of his name being
Yeah.
Jerry. You still kind of get the Jerome in there because Jerry could be short for Jerome.
Yeah.
But they're like, Jerome Crystal. Full Christian name.
I wonder how long Jerry Jewell has thought his name was Jerome Crystal. If he's just been sitting on that one forever.
He's known it since the beginning.
Since day one. Or if he just like, for some reason was like, I gotta think of a name for this guy. Flip through the phone book. I wish I knew which one it was.
Well, and it's his name. Like Jerry Jewell's real first name is Jerome.
Yeah. I wonder
So
if
it
he even
also
thought of
was
that
like-
also.
Oh my God, Sam.
Oh, holy shit. I just thought of the same thing.
Yep.
His name is Jerry Jewell, and this guy's name is Jerome Crystal.
I almost passed out just now, literally from laughing about that. I got a little
That's-
lightheaded from the realization that
That's why he
Jerry
did
Jewel
that.
named his character Jerome
That's
Crystal.
why he did that. And I'm sure it was on purpose, but if it
Oh,
was
yeah.
on accident, that is also just like, oh, wow. That's amazing. Good job, Jerry. You got us. I understand now why his name is Jerome Crystal.
I feel like now he should have said it slower. Like,
get it?
my name is Jerome Crystal.
Crystal. Isn't that a jewel of a last name? Wow. Okay. I forgive
Oh,
everything
fantastic.
then. That's
Yeah.
why he did it.
Best Muppet series ever.
he
Jerry
just-
Jewel. This is why they let you write this series. But see, if somebody else had written this episode and made his name that, I would have been like, that's a nice little Easter egg.
yeah.
But Jerry Jewel doing
Doing
it, be like, I hope nobody notices this.
I wonder if anybody even did. Like,
Jim's just like, Jerome Crystal, interesting
that's
choice.
odd. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah,
I've known you for a long
it
time. I trust you with my life.
It just
Jerry
came to
Jewel.
me. I don't know. I just thought of that one.
That's so funny to think of him like consulting the thesaurus.
Jerome Geode. Not really. It doesn't really have the same ring to it.
Or that's like the name he puts on like hotel registries when he wants to be
Yeah,
anonymous.
no
or
one's
something.
stalking Jerry Jewel.
Yeah. All right.
man.
All is forgiven, Jerry.
Yeah.
You're the best. You're the best who's ever done it.
Well, Gobo introduces himself, and Doc's like, hey, Gobo Fraggle, I've seen your postcards.
We know you. I have read your book, you son of a bitch.
And this is a very sweet moment because it's just them catching up,
Yeah.
telling him about like why they call humans silly creatures, and Doc being like, you know what?
That tracks.
Yeah, we
We're
are silly
dumb as hell.
creatures.
Yeah.
He introduces his dog, Sprocket, 2 new words that Gobo is learning.
I hope he remembers that, you know? I hope for the
mean,
rest
I'm
of his life
sure.
he doesn't call him the hairy monster from outer space.
I feel like he would call him Sprocket if he knew. He even
Yeah.
says, like, I always wondered what your name was.
Oh, he does? Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Gobo tells Jerome about him and Sprocket exploring the caves together. And then Jerome invites Gobo
Okay.
to come with them to the desert.
A
In
big
fact,
swing.
He insists upon it.
Yeah, too much.
The movers even show up at this point, knocking on the door, hurrying up Jerome and Sprocket. But Gobo wants to go, but is not ready to go right now.
Yeah, understandably. Maybe he can't uproot his entire life and leave behind all
Can't
his
even bring his
friends.
hats. He's got to leave right now.
He's got to pack his hats. Is this the first time? So the mover, is that the first time we've heard another human being speak?
I think so.
I think so too.
I think at one point Ned dropped off Fluffanella, but we didn't hear him. He just like was understood to be outside of the door.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
Yeah, and like I'm not counting the Uncle Matt part of this.
Oh
like,
yeah. But they also usually don't. They don't speak.
I think there's
They're
been
there.
one time where there was like a dubbed person being like, "Can I help you, sir?" or something like that, like at a department store or something
that sounds
like
familiar.
that. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's definitely the first time we've seen a human come in and like interact with Jerome in this way.
And I was like, weird. But then later he's on a plane full of other people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, even when he's like, out on a hike or camping, we don't see other people around them.
Yeah.
Well, Gobo runs away back into Fraggle Rock as Doc bellows goodbyes.
Sad. It's hard to make friends when you're older, though. So you got to hold on to these things.
Yeah. The creatures who live in your walls can be your friends. That's okay.
I don't think that's okay, actually.
Well, apparently the movers have done their job because Doc comes back to a completely empty workshop. They even took the frickin' bench, which
doesn't.
I don't know why. It
necessary.
seemed built in to me.
And he moves into a new place with a big, nice counter.
In like an apartment building, it seems like I don't know if he's gonna have a workshop anymore to put that bench
no, he
somewhere.
does say once they move all the junk in here, it's gonna feel just like home. So I think he is.
There's also a moment later where he mentions that Miss Ardath is gonna keep an eye on the place.
Why?
Why? Is it
For
hers?
what?
Is it his? Who owns that place? Like I feel like that you just get a new renter.
I mean, he definitely rents. Yeah, I feel like he said that before, but
Yeah, I think there was a landlord situation.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, Sprocket lays sadly by the Fraggle hole as he starts to hear a song. as Gobo sings Petals of a Rose.
One
One
of
of
the
the
saddest
saddest songs
I've
we've ever heard.
that I've ever heard in my entire life, honestly.
But yeah, the lyrics are like, ain't it just the way it goes? We pull the petals off the rose. We never say hello to stay. We always say goodbye. And ain't it just the way it seems? We pull the petals off our dreams.
Oh, dear Lord.
Our hearts can say we're here to stay, but we always say goodbye.
Yeah. The takeaway line of it for me was just friends always tell you goodbye. Ain't it the truth, though, Matt?
Every new friend is just a future goodbye.
Oh, yeah. At the end of the day, they're gonna, at the very least, die. There's no getting around it. He's right.
Wembley wanders in while Gobo is singing this, and at first, I thought there was going to be one of those classic Fraggle Rock misunderstandings where
Me too.
Wembley was like, "Is Gobo leaving? Is Gobo
Yeah.
saying goodbye? Or am I saying goodbye? Am I leaving?"
Yeah.
Like,
but he's just like, holy shit.
my friend is really sad.
He
I
doesn't-
don't know what to do.
There's not even a plot that comes out of that. He just walks in for a second, then he walks back out and stands on the other side of the door and just listens to Gobo sing the saddest song ever and is like, fuck, dude.
Fuck. I don't know what to do about this. I hope he goes and talks to the trash heap because I got nothing. Well, Moki, with the crackers all over her sweater, runs in trying to get Gobo to play pot hockey, a new sport that we're hearing about in the last episode of the show.
Especially since they have rock hockey already.
Yeah,
Just
this
play
just seems
rock
like hockey with whatever you got around, and apparently they're out of rocks.
Oh, no.
But Gobo says he doesn't feel like it and says that he let an opportunity of a lifetime slip through his fingers, and so he must go get some wisdom. Which is an interesting read on that scenario, that he feels like he missed a giant opportunity.
Yeah, I think so too, because if I don't know, if he feels that way, he doesn't feel like he's conflicted. It's like, I don't know. I had to make a really tough decision just now or something like that. Maybe it would be. But this is also completely ignoring the fact that they have a tunnel system that goes everywhere in the whole world.
I think they wrote that into an episode and then later on realized that's too convenient.
We did a
actually.
bad job. Yeah.
It's too convenient that they can travel the world in 2 minutes.
And they didn't even use it for Uncle Matt segments or anything.
No.
Like they could have brought that back and just had him at the beginning of all of them be like, I went through this tunnel I've never been through today. It brought me here. Or there could have been a line that was like, there's no tunnel to Arizona, unfortunately. It's the one place
we never thought to make that one. Well, Gobo does go to Marjorie the trash heap for her final scene. And she is shocked to hear that Gobo has made friends with a silly creature and says that silly creatures need to know about the magic of Fraggles.
She likes it, though. She's excited about it.
Yeah. It seems like she knows that Jim wants to stop war. And she knows that the key is that silly creatures and Fraggles need to be friends.
Yeah.
Maybe politicians would be less shitty if they knew Fraggles were out there.
I don't think that would move
I don't think so either. I just want it to be true.
That would move the needle very much at all. They pump all the toxic waste down there. They would have already done it. There were Fraggles and they're all dead already.
Well, Marjorie tells Gobo that he needs to go tell Doc, you cannot leave the magic.
Back to her old ways of being obtuse. She went through a phase of not, but...
To be fair, this one is obtuse in a way that I think works well because the double meaning here, or the realization later on of what words she actually said, I think is a moment that makes sense for the Fraggles, not in this sort of wait a minute, she said this, which means that. Sometimes Marjorie reminds me of the scene in the old Adam West Batman movie.
I knew exactly that you were going to say that.
I'm not going to do it justice, but there is a great scene where Batman and Robin are figuring out who's behind the plot.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, and they were in the C for Catwoman.
Uh-huh. Exactly. that is what it usually feels like. But this one does have I like that they kind of give Marjorie her props of being like, yeah, she was just telling me what I needed to hear. Like there is that acknowledgement that she was being confusing, but only so that you could figure it out. And then you can picture her being like, I did a really good job that time.
Yeah, it's your fault that you didn't understand me. Like, I was the most clear I've ever been, actually.
And you should know by now also that everything I say has a double meaning, except for like a couple times when it doesn't, when I'm just not feeling very well that day or whatever.
It's 6:30. Time for Jerome and Sprocket to leave for the airport.
Late flight, I hate having a late flight. I'd rather have a morning flight any day of the week.
I guess, yeah, especially too if he's got to be on a red eye if he's flying from presumably, east coast of Canada or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
And this
he's
is what
traveling
also
from
what I
Nova
was thinking
Scotia
about.
to Arizona.
Is there a desert in Canada? Or is he immigrating? Is he like...
Well, I don't also think we've ever gotten confirmation that he is in Canada.
I think there's an ad for the inn that says it's in Canada. On a
Ooh.
bus.
I know
in
what
a
you're talking
traveling
about.
Mad
I don't
segment.
remember what it said, but yeah, I think you're right that it may have said something about it. But yeah, he might be, which is going to make it more
That's a
complicated for
big
Sprocket, probably.
move. He's gonna have to get married to Ned. Make it
Well,
easier.
Ned's also a Canadian citizen, probably.
Yeah, could
So
be.
I don't
Well,
think
unless
two
he
Canadian
moved
citizens
to...
moving to America and getting married works that way.
Okay. Well, maybe.
I mean, also at the time, there was a lot more legal troubles than just that for that
Sure.
scenario.
That's true. You're right.
But yeah, I didn't even think about the fact that he'd probably be moving from Canada to the US because I'm sure there's somewhere that's, an Arctic desert in Canada,
Exactly.
but there's not an Arizona desert.
Got to be dry climates, but that doesn't look like where he looks like. Outside it's dark, but it does look like
It looks like a Golden Girls set to me.
south. Yeah, it does. I kind of like his new place. It looks
Yeah.
nice.
It looks like he could have a spinoff where he runs into the Golden Girls.
And we've talked about this before. He'd be a great boyfriend for
we've
Betty
pitched.
White's character, I believe, is what we said.
I think we pitched that if he was going to be a one episode guy, he should be Betty White's boyfriend, and if he was going to do a season long arc, he should be B. Arthur's boyfriend.
I agree completely
because there's more story there.
I think that's right. Would he be Doc?
Yeah.
Would he know the Fraggles?
The only character he ever plays is Doc.
He'd be Jerome Crystal?
Now I'm just picturing, because we know his name, when he got on that plane, like, oh, hello, Mr. Crystal.
Mr. Crystal? Yeah.
But we see, but as they sit there getting ready to leave for the airport, Doc says that seeing a Fraggle was important, and he realizes that now. And he also says, Sprocket, I'm not letting you travel as baggage. Which,
of course, he's not.
Which we don't find out yet quite what that means. Before
I kind of had a good idea of what I meant.
I had a pretty good idea, but I was excited to see what it looked like.
Yeah.
So Gobo comes back from the trash heap to rush off to outer space, and the other Fraggles chase after him. This is when we get some cross-cutting, really ramping up the tension of Gobo has to make it back to the workshop before Doc leaves for the airport. This is when he mentions to Sprocket that Miss Ardath's going to take over and take care of the old place. But he and Sprocket head out the door just as Gobo rushes out the Fraggle hole.
Mm-hmm.
And in the background, there's a foghorn and a lighthouse light going around outside the window.
I thought that was going to mean something, but
it did seem like it might. I don't know if it was a shout out to the UK series or if it was just to confirm that, look, we're at the seashore and nothing else is happening in here. It's so quiet. You can finally hear the foghorn.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like, oh, you can't hear that sound anymore. Like it would signal something, but
right. Nope.
Just a nice little effect. Nice little kind of Casablanca type of thing.
Yeah. They were finally like, I guess we could do this. Then I thought for sure the end of this episode was going to be Doc and Sprocket come back to the workshop.
Yeah.
Decide to stay. Something happens. Gobo's sadly sitting in the middle of the workshop and they come in like, I forgot your bowl, Sprocket, or something like that.
Right.
But instead, hard cut to Doc and Sprocket on the plane with Sprocket disguised as the Elder Crystal. Doc's grandfather.
He does say grandpa. That's the miscalculation. That blows the whole thing up. Sir, you are 80 years old.
Yeah. You could have said son. You could have said brother. Like, the fact that, oh, this is my grandfather.
I mean,
And
I guess if he looks that
well, and I
crazy.
understand seated on the plane how you could almost pull this off a little bit more. But he had to walk onto that plane.
Well, do you think he walked on 2 legs just for a little while?
But like a dog on 2 legs doesn't walk like a human.
In a big trench coat, though, Matt. You're not using your mind.
Oh,
here.
my grandfather has quite the limp. I'm sorry. He's a little slow
Yeah,
today.
you could put him on a walker. You know, I think he'll be all right. I think
He'd get too distracted by the tennis balls.
I think if you went to the airport and you said, "My dog has a human brain," look, he has hands.
Do you have a special test he can take to prove that he shouldn't be in baggage?
Yeah. He's taking a Scantron test to make sure that he's smart enough, and he is.
Yeah.
He's got hands. He should not have to be down there. Nor should any animal, but
Well, Gobo sadly brings his friends out to outer space, and they find a tape recorder with a delightfully cute drawing of Gobo on it, with a big arrow telling him to push the play button. It turns out Doc recorded a message for him. That my favorite part of it is, what if Miss Ardeth finds this? She'll think I've gone mad.
I liked that. That little element was really funny. And
well,
cute.
At the end, he says, if you're Miss Ardeth, pay no attention to any of this. But Doc seals up the story of the episode quite well, saying that they had to leave for Ned, and I guess you have to be in Fraggle Rock. So he now understands why Gobo didn't run off with him to the desert.
Friendship's important.
So Jerome and Sprocket find their new pad. Turns out they're living on the 2nd floor above Ned, Schimmelfinny, and Fluffinella.
That's going to be a stress on their friendship, I feel like.
Do you think
Sprocket's little feet are going to be clicking on the ceiling all day long?
Do you think it's an apartment building, or is he living in the 2nd floor of a house that he's sharing with Ned?
I think he's living in the 2nd floor. It's like a duplex, but stacked up a different way.
Okay.
Or it's a fourplex, one of those fourplexes, you know.
Okay. So it is more like an apartment building. He's got his own space.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the impression I got. At least.
I think so too.
Yeah. Maybe he's living above a garage or something like that.
Like Fonzie?
Yes, just like Fonzie.
Doc is a lot like Fonzie. I've always said that. Well, Doc sees a box sitting against the wall and recalls the time when they first moved into the original workshop. And he's like, you remember when I moved that box and there was a hole behind there? You don't suppose maybe... Nope. He moves the box and sadly, there is no hole behind it this time. And they're both disappointed.
Yeah.
This is when Gobo and his friends realize... I guess Gobo leads the charge on this. Realizes that he wasn't supposed to say anything like, you mustn't leave the magic. He was supposed to say, you cannot leave the magic. Meaning he can't leave us, and we can't leave him. And then Wembley's like, hey, there's a new tunnel over here.
There's a weird tunnel over here.
So then they sing Magic Be With You as they explore the magic tunnel. It seems like more of the song is happening to them as opposed to them singing it, actually.
Yeah, it is a what's
non-diegetic.
It is diegetic.
No.
I believe.
Diegetic is when it's in the world.
Oh, I think this cave is singing the song to them.
Oh, so it is a diegetic.
That's what I think.
All right.
Yeah, they are hearing the song, and the cave is telling them something.
Well, they wander around as Doc laments to Sprocket about how he believes anything is possible after learning about the magical Fraggles living in the walls. And maybe the whole world is magic. And if we wanted there to be a Fraggle hole behind that cardboard box, well, who knows? And suddenly, the box starts to get pushed aside, and Gobo made it to Arizona. He explains you cannot leave the magic, and everyone's just very excited. And I know this is the end of the series, but now I just want Doc to crawl into Fraggle Rock. And I want that episode where Doc is just on all fours, going around Fraggle Rock.
That'd be scary, kind of.
Runs into a Gorg.
Maybe Doc could be he is the foretold Sir whatever, Sir Kibble. What's the
Sir
guy's
Hubris.
Sir Hubris? Yeah, that would be fun.
The Gorgs interact with a human. They're like, ah, shit. All right, these things exist. We should probably give up our kingdom.
Yeah, it is kind of like it would be too much maybe if Doc went to Fraggle Rock, but
Yeah, there's a lot of things I feel like this is where you have to end the show.
yeah,
Like, there's a reason the new series Back to the Rock is a reboot and not a sequel, because I think so many things happen in this last episode that the next episode is too unhinged.
yeah, and I think, I mean, you can't, if you did a reboot and the Gorgs were enemies again, I think that would feel kind of weird too. Like the status quo has changed so much.
Right, like a sequel, like you've removed all the conflict
Mm-hmm.
from your show.
You could do like a Next Generation, I suppose, where there's Junior, and they have to learn it all over again or something.
Yeah.
But
Well, that is the end of the episode, because we cut to the other Fraggles exploring the tunnel, and then we cut to the trash heap once again saying, "You cannot leave the magic."
the other Fraggles exploring the tunnel scene to me felt a little foreboding for some reason. Like, what is there left to see in that tunnel?
Or like the tunnel was going to seal itself off and like
Something.
leave Gobo trapped in Arizona.
Yeah, it just looks like they're looking at something. Like they're heading towards some new destination.
To me, it feels like they didn't want them to go out the Fraggle hole.
Yeah.
And so they just had them be amazed by the tunnel instead.
Right.
Because the next thing that happens is the Fraggle Rock theme song starts up. An alternate version where everyone is singing and dancing to the theme song. We see Doozers and Marlin and the Trash Heap, Philo Gunge, the Gorgs, even Ma and Pa, notably not wearing his crown because he has given up
Not
the
the
throne.
king anymore. Yeah.
And then the Fraggle Five come out to Doc's apartment singing the theme song as a screen shows text saying this show is for Don Celine.
That's the part that got me.
That's
when
fair.
I like had to choke back some tears.
Yeah.
Because Don would have loved it.
Well, and Jerome Crystal gets to say that down at Fraggle Rock that Boober usually gets to say.
Yep.
And Sprocket finishes off the series with a cute little bark.
Do you think it would be annoying to have a bunch of little guys who could come out of your wall whenever and drag
There's going to
you
be some
into
boundaries, I think, established going forward of like, all right, guys, I'm going to put up a little baby gate here. You see the baby gate? There's a sock hanging on it.
It's closed.
Stay in there.
Yeah, Doc's. Jerome's entertaining if there's...
This is Jerome time. Sorry about that.
It would be scary too, because it just, hey, what's up? Ah, nothing. I wasn't looking at anything.
But that is Fraggle Rock, Sam. Feelings on the finale.
I didn't give this one a star rating, and I didn't dislike it. It to me almost felt just like inevitable. So maybe in that respect, it was a really good finale because it felt like what was supposed to happen. And it also leaves the door open. Like you can keep imagining that things will happen to these characters. It didn't stay around long enough to like outlive its welcome or, do like a Grey's Anatomy, kill every character kind of thing. So I don't know. I guess I give it like a 3 stars because it was very like by the numbers in a way.
For me, it was also too Gobo centric.
Yeah.
In a way that
I get that.
I totally get it. I think I was more bummed realizing after the fact of like, oh, our other characters didn't really get a great goodbye.
Yeah, that's true.
And especially the Doozers. Like the last Doozer episode we saw was the trial episode with all the terrible Doozers.
The worst Doozer episode.
And we even said in that episode that we hope we got another Doozer episode after that to make up for it, and we didn't. And to have the Gorgs even barely be in the finale felt a little weird. And I think I understand all of these choices and why you bring it back to the central Gobo-Doc relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But it just felt like Wembley and Boober, didn't get a goodbye.
That's true. That's a really good point. I didn't think about that. Boober's barely... I mean...
Boober had a light season, I think.
It felt like they were valuing other Dave characters over Boober in this. Because it wasn't a Dave light season. It was just not... I maybe there was what's his little friend's name inside his head?
Side bottom.
There was maybe a side bottom episode this season? I can't remember.
I think the problem is with this is that we're also thinking about the last season as 2 seasons.
Yeah, right.
Whereas they did not. So a lot of things that we're saying were just like Fraggle Rock season 5 things
Yeah.
were because they probably did stuff in season 4 that for them this was all one season of television. And so
Yeah, that's true.
they're like, of course we did that in the last season, but in reality,
yeah,
they didn't, because for us we saw them so much later. Because the last side bottom episode was episode 3 of season 4.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, so for us it's been quite a while, but technically in the last season they produced there was a side bottom episode.
Yeah, and like several Boober episodes, I think, too.
Yeah, there was more Boober in season 4 than there was in season 5. I just feel like season 5, the latter half of their production season, definitely focused less on Boober, but also the Doozers and the Gorgs.
Yeah, well, I mean, he got Boober Gorg.
That's true.
He's a big part of the Space Frog episode, I think, too. But yeah, I agree. It felt like he's not friends with them anymore. He's just got his own thing going on.
Yeah. Well, the last thing we watched this week was Fraggles Look for Jobs, the rap party video that was made as a goodbye gift for the cast and crew. And as you can tell from all of the in-jokes and name drops, this is for people who aren't us.
For public consumption, really, no.
Yeah, which we've seen things like this before with Sesame Street and such, where it's like,
yeah.
The point is to make a joke about a crew member and everyone goes, hey, we got him. Take that, Ted.
This one definitely was more like we're just listing the names of people in a not as fun way.
Yeah, but it starts off with Wembley and Gobo outside of Eastern Sound in Canada. Was a very famous recording studio, has since been demolished. But they're talking about how they're catching up, waiting for Marlon to come pick them up in a stretch limo.
I was really disappointed that we didn't get to see that.
Yeah.
I thought for sure we would.
Because I picture Marlon as, he is now working as a limo driver. He'd have the little hat on. But yeah, they're catching up on what they've been doing now that they're done filming in those caves.
I like when Wembley says, oh, that key light's pretty bright, huh?
Goes like, that's the sun.
I like that.
The others are upstairs planning their next career moves. Boober's talking to Bernie, saying the Henson gig is history. And I hear they're looking for a new leading man for the new Meryl Streep movie.
Yeah, he's worried that he's been typecast and can't play romantic leads.
But I like Showbiz Boober.
Yeah, me too. Showbiz Boober is very like Showbiz Grover.
Yes.
Which is another one of my favorite things.
Or Showbiz Kermit in Muppet Take Manhattan.
Exactly, yeah. When a Muppet's like, hey, baby.
Hey, baby.
That's one of my favorite gags.
Yeah. Moki is moving on to screenwriting, but can only type with one hand because the right-handing puppeteer isn't there for her.
That was pretty fun. There was a couple fun Moki things. Like, lots of this felt like Rolf era stuff when it's like a puppet who's alive but also is acknowledging how they work, because the part where like the puppeteer's head pops up and Moki's like, how embarrassing. I feel like that maybe has even happened before in another Muppet thing, or like Kermit has said that or something.
Well, I also like there's a hard cut then, and then there's like a stack of books and puzzles and stuff blocking where the head would be seen.
That was great. I did not like Gobo saying that he was gonna go drink sake.
You didn't like that?
No.
Gobo's planning to go get some Japanese food and jars. He says jars of sake.
Yeah,
like
I thought
he was gonna have not just a shot.
That's a little much to take to like the whiplash between not knowing what a dog is to going to drink sake.
Getting wasted. Yeah, it was a little jarring, but clearly it was referencing a restaurant that I'm sure the crew would go to often.
All the time, yeah.
It was a little confusing. I think Gobo says he got a singing job where he's going to be known as the Frosty Fraggle.
And Wembley loved that. But
yeah, so that must be a reference to something.
Yeah.
At this point, Gobo has still not asked Wembley what he's up to. Like, their friendship clearly exists only on the screen.
I didn't love this because of that element of it, where it was like, we're just coworkers, where that works for the Muppets because that's what they are. But for the Fraggles, it's like, we just saw you guys be friends forever. Don't break
But
this
even on the
illusion
Muppets,
for
like
me.
even in the 2015 series, like there's still that connection where, yeah, Miss
Right.
Piggy doesn't necessarily care about Pepe that much,
Mm-hmm.
but she respects Pepe as like a part of the troupe and
Yeah.
like knows that on the next project they'll still probably be working together. Whereas like
Yeah,
this very
that's
much
true.
seems like
The end for them.
yeah, like they worked on a TV show and now they're wondering why everyone else thinks it's such a big deal that they're talking. They're like,
Yeah.
what? It's just a job.
Yeah, which is probably a healthier boundaries to have than the Muppets have, but still.
Well, we learned that Red signed a long-term Canadian contract with the Maple Leafs
I like that.
and will alternate between acting and hockey.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
We cut outside to Wembley wearing some aviator sunglasses, and this is when Gobo finally asks Wembley what he's going to be doing, and his only plan is to buy a new shirt.
Yeah, because his shirt stinks.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to buy a white Italian suit and red shoes, which also seems to be some kind of in-joke.
They reference that's what somebody says I should buy, and so I'm
Yeah.
guessing they have a guy on staff who is like very into clothing and saying, well, you got to be wearing white Italian
White
suits.
Italian suit, yeah.
Boober starts giving up on calling agents and is now calling other Fraggle Rock puppeteers.
Oh, that's what he's doing.
He calls
Okay.
Terry Angus for a job and mentions
Right.
that he hears he's putting together a pilot and is wondering if there's a role for him. This is a show actually that was a real show that Terry Angus was going to go make
Oh,
called Blizzard Island, which is a puppet
Oh.
TV show that did get made, is out there. You can watch it. It's like 12 episodes, but it's a nice little in-joke for them. Maybe that can be a birthday pick sometime.
Yeah. Looks like Land of the Lost, but a little cuter.
We learned that Moki's screenplay she's writing is called Girls of the 60s, but also she has a boyfriend named Garloo, who is a puppet that was owned and operated by John Pattison.
He's a ventriloquist dummy.
Yes. Have you looked up pictures of Garloo?
I have not.
I will share a video with you.
What is he?
Looks like a Viking a little bit.
Yeah, he's like a pan or something, like a fawn. Also, Maurice LaMarche had a TV show.
I think, yeah, he was just a popular Canadian TV presenter, I believe, back in the day.
He's Pinky in the Brain, right? Yeah,
He's
the
one
brain.
of them. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I was picturing her dating a little like what's that guy's name? A little ventriloquist dummy,
Oh, yeah. When they say ventriloquist dummy,
Uh-huh.
picturing like a Howdy Doody or a Edgar Bergen's guy.
Edgar
What's his name?
Bergen. Yeah.
Charlie McCarthy.
I was picturing her dating Charlie McCarthy, and that to me was cute. I don't
Well,
like
especially-
Garloo's energy though.
Especially because Red's like, you don't even have the same style of lip sync.
And they
Which
do a little. I mean, they do.
It seems like he's a hand puppet. Like it seems
Yeah.
like it would be the same kind of lip sync as opposed to
Right.
a ventriloquist dummy with like
Yeah.
a nutcracker mouth.
Yeah. Nutcracker mouth.
But yeah, John Pattison was a Fraggle Rock puppeteer, but also has his own puppets that he works with, which is where they
That's
pulled
great.
Garloo from.
Love that people are up there in Canada having big crazy puppets and talking to Maurice LaMarche.
Yeah, traveling with that puppet seems insane.
He's big. He's like human sized.
You have to pretend he's your grandfather on an airplane.
Yeah.
Well, we get a weird moment where there's a quick, big, wide shot outside the studio, and Jerry Parks as Doc walks up with one of those invisible dog leash things.
Yeah, why was that?
I don't know. But in the background, you see the whole crew and Jerry Nelson laying on the ground, puppeteering Gobo, and Steve Whitmire on the ground, puppeteering Wembley.
Uh-huh.
And they comment on Doc walking through with the invisible dog leash thing.
Yeah,
and then say,
guy?
like, this isn't going to work. The shot's too wide. And they cut to a close-up.
Just too inside baseball, I think.
But then Wembley bumps his head and is surprised that it doesn't go bonk. And they reference someone who I assume has to be the sound designer because they're like, yeah, well, this person's not here.
Yeah. So that was like fun at first, but then when I thought about it more, that also made me sad. I don't know why. It's like Wembley like finding out he can't have fun and be a goofy cartoon guy anymore.
Well, Richard Hunt then enters the scene as the boss. And this doesn't go anywhere, really. but it seemed like it was going to be fun when it started.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine it was fun to see him, and
Mm-hmm.
he was doing the Hollywood baby thing too,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah, this is
good.
Hollywood
But
Richard. And then it cuts to live footage of the rap party, I guess.
they like jump out of the projector screen.
Yeah, and they sing a song about the show ending and how they're going to miss working with everyone.
But they do also say, "But we're gonna be together forever," in a way, or like this will happen. Like, we'll meet again. It's like a "we'll meet again" song.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was fine.
It was fine. It was just like not. It was a weird note to end on after watching the last episode. To be like, here's this little like cynical thing. I mean, it's just people at work. I understand that, but I
But
don't know.
I think there's moments in this and clips that if you like cut them out and put them on Twitter, people would be like, haha, that's hilarious. I want to watch the
Totally.
rest.
Yeah.
It's like, don't bother. That's the
But a
best
lot
part.
of it really was them just saying like, and Marvin and Joan, we got to go find them.
Yeah.
And if you're Marvin and Joan in the audience, you're like, woo,
Gobo said my name.
that was me. But if you're me and Matt, you're like, oh, who's Marvin?
They didn't say
and
my
Joan?
name.
Yeah, say Matt and Sam. Rude.
You know how much of our lives we've given to you watching this show, talking about this show?
Yeah. The least you could do is say my name.
But I think that does it, Sam, for our
That's it.
discussions of the puppet version of Fraggle Rock.
This is how it ends. Just like that.
So, Sam, before we get out of here, I gotta ask, what non-Muppet things did you enjoy this week?
Well, I gotta tell you one thing I just discovered accidentally. Because I was looking up Garloo, and there's an old toy named Garloo.
I saw that toy. At first, I was like, is that who Moki was dating? Because
Yeah.
that's amazing.
And he kicks ass. But then I just happened to also see a picture of Operation while I was
The board
doing
game?
that. Yeah. And I found out that the guy that you're operating on in Operation is named Cavity Sam. Isn't that a scary name?
That's your name.
Yeah. But it draws so much attention to the holes in him.
Yeah, I don't like cavity being a descriptive word.
Cavity Sam. Anyway, I've been watching, I think I talked about this last week, but I cannot remember. Horror movies. I've been trying to watch one every day. I haven't been watching one every day, but I've been watching several a week. And so far, the biggest surprise to me that I've loved a ton is Child's Play 1 and Child's Play 2.
Oh.
Those movies were not scary, which I feel like people our parents' age often are like, oh, too scary. That movie's so scary.
Yeah.
And then you watch it and you're like, that movie is like Child's Play could be a children's movie if Chucky didn't say fuck. It's
Isn't
like
there murder?
yeah, but you know, it's like baby's first. It's baby's first serial killer movie for sure. But the first one,
I wonder why they didn't
especially,
call it that.
that's a good name. The first one especially is more of a police procedural, I would say, than a horror movie.
They're trying to solve the mystery of who's killing these people.
Yeah, and I've seen other horror movies like that, and I really like that vibe of like a cop who's like, I can't believe it, it's a werewolf. I'll never believe it's a werewolf. And then he sees the werewolf. He's like, well, I'll be damned, it's a werewolf.
It's a goddamn doll.
Basically, yeah. So yeah, it's Chris Sarandon trying to track down. Trying to figure out why this little boy is murdering people when it's actually his killer doll. But Chucky, like you watch the old Friday the 13th, or you watch the old
like Chris Sarandon. Why do I know that? Princess Bride.
Yeah, and Jack Skellington's talking voice too. That's
well, yes, that's true.
And you watch like Nightmare on Elm Street, and you see these like proto versions of these characters where you're like, I know what this becomes eventually because culture made it that way. But Chucky, right out of the gate, hilarious. He's like in a different. The puppetry is really good. First of all, like it's a puppet movie, and Chucky is performed very well, and he's voiced very well, and it's like funny and well written, and he just has some great zingers, and you're like, I can't stay mad at you. Like, oh, you're so much fun. And that's just kind of the vibe of them, is like, I don't really like Nightmare on Elm Street movies because I feel really bad for the people who are dying.
Yeah.
But in these, it just seems like everybody's having a good time, even when they're getting killed.
Has Brad Dourif been the voice of every Chucky
Yes,
forever?
forever. Yeah,
That's
except
so
the
wild.
reboot where it was Luke Skywalker guy.
Wait, really? Mark Hamill did Chucky?
Mark Hamill did there was a Child's Play reboot that kind of flopped, and that was only like 5 years ago or something.
Huh.
And it was Mark Hamill. But yeah, Brad Dourif, and it's been the same.
Oh, yeah, the ugly Chucky.
Yeah, it's been the same storyline since the beginning too. So they've never rebooted it. I'm on the Bride of Chucky at this point.
Ooh,
It all
yeah.
ties
Bride and
in.
Son, I remember those so well.
You've watched them before?
Yeah. I don't think I've seen every Child's Play. I definitely seen the first one and the Bride and Son
Yeah.
of Chucky. Because Bride of Chucky, just Jennifer Tilly is amazing.
She is really good in it. And that's like, you wouldn't think in a million years that Bride of Chucky would be like a valuable addition to the Chucky mythos, but she fits right in. And it's fun
Yep.
to see those two fighting with each other, having doll sex. So yeah, I'm just watching a lot of scary movies and having fun doing that. How about you?
I haven't quite yet got into the spooky season. 'Twas my birthday this past week as we record this. So I went to some museums, had a nice relaxing birthday day. Got last night, went and saw Not Green Day, a Green Day cover band,
Oh, cool.
which was
Cool name.
yeah. It was a fun time. You know, it's about what you expect from going to see a Green Day cover band.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, honestly, I still just keep playing Ghost of Tsushima nonstop, Sam.
Oh wow,
I
you're
can't stop
still playing
myself.
that. It's been like a month.
Yeah, I'm over halfway through the storyline, but I like the side stuff so much that like I'll
Yeah.
play like 2 hours of stuff and then I exit out and it says I'm still at like 52% of the game and I'm like, "Damn it. I haven't actually progressed at
Yeah.
all in this game."
That is one of the downfalls of that kind of open world game where
And I just for my birthday, I haven't started yet, just got Star Wars Outlaws,
oh yeah,
which is
okay.
going to suck up the rest of my time after Ghost of Tsushima's done.
That's kind of a similar type of game, right?
I think so. I think it's a
Yeah.
little less open worldy, but it's still got some open world elements.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not hearing fantastic things about it, but it's Star Wars and it's pretty, so I'll play it. Well, before we go, we gotta let you know what we're watching next time. And next time, we will be watching the pilot of the 1987 sitcom Puppet Man. That was developed by Jim Henson.
I feel like this is another one of those we've been talking about forever. I can't believe we're here. And I'm so excited to see this mess.
I'm excited just for something so completely off the wall, unpredictable from everything else we've watched.
Yeah.
Is it going to be more like Greg the Bunny? Is it going to be more like Eureka's Castle? Where's it going to fall?
What if it's like really good and we're like, how could they have ignored this show?
I worry about actually how bad it's going to be, but we'll see next time.
Yeah.
But along with that, we'll actually watch a couple of brief 1987 Muppet TV appearances, including coverage of the Muppet meeting films on Entertainment Tonight, which you remember those that we talked about?
Watched them like the second episode of the show.
We
could have interspersed a Matt through the years. Why didn't we do that?
Well, we didn't know how long we were going to be doing this podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, back in episode 21 of this podcast, which was...
It was already 21 when we did Muppet meeting films?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
It was released in August of 2021. So, over 3 years ago, we talked about the Muppet meeting films.
Okay.
But they recorded them from the mid 70s through the early to mid 90s. But we have watched all of the ones we could.
Yeah. It was quite a trip too, because we just like, you saw like every major era of Muppets.
Yeah, there's like a lot of early Frank and Jim, and then you see Jim rap. You get to see the post Jim era when they kind of get a little bit more crazy.
Yeah.
So it was a fun time. I'd be curious to go back and look at some of those, but we will get a brief check-in next time because Entertainment Tonight did a story talking about them. But we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all your commitment needs. And don't forget to rate and review this podcast wherever you hear it. You listen in on Spotify, pop a 5 stars in there. You listen in on Apple Podcast, leave a little review saying commitment, best podcast I ever heard. You can also email us at mail@commitment.com if you have any questions, or follow this podcast everywhere on social media at Commitment Pod. And you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.